Live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines, Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council lashes out at transport operators, describing as misplaced agitations over a proposed 10% fare reduction. We hear from spare part dealers who will describe as inaccurate claims cost of spare parts are soaring. Also, a formal probe into the work of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining is underway as former chairman of the body, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, provides evidence.
My report was not to indict anybody, but just to tell the one who asked me to write the report the problems that we face and what I think should be done. It may not be a perfect report, but I stand by everything that I wrote.
The Attorney General says his intervention saved the country from paying a $15 million judgment debt granted Imperial Heritage, a company Professor Frimpong Boateng claims Gabi Asariotridako interfered in his quest to stop their operations.
I think the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining has succeeded in seizing the equipment of Heritage Imperial. For me, he lies foul in the mouth of any person to criticize the actions of the IMCM.
Also, how simple will it be for a teacher to instruct students in writing without a black writing board? Well, in today's episode of Ghana Schools of Shame, we introduce you to the concept of writing in the air. Also, NDC declares Edem Agbana winner of Ketu North primaries. Now, the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, GIHOC, is lashing out at transport operators, describing as misplaced agitations over a proposed 10% fare reduction. The GPRTU and GIHOC, in a statement, proposed a reduction of public transport fares by 10% to accommodate for the continuous fall in the prices of petroleum products observed over the period. Now, this has been welcomed by some commuters who spoke to Joy News here in Accra. We'll hear from the commuters shortly. But first, the statement from GPRTU and the GIHOC. Now, they say in line with the administrative arrangement on public transport fares, the road transport operators have reduced public transport fares by 10% to accommodate for the reductions in the price of petroleum products observed over the period. Now, the statement continues to say that the fares over the following types of road transport operations, the fares cover the following types of road transport operations: shared taxis, intra-city, that's trotro, intercity for long distances, and haulage. Now, they continue by saying that we kindly request all commercial transport operators to comply with the new fares and post same at their loading terminals. We further request all operators, commuters, and the general public to kindly cooperate for the successful implementation of the new fares. We take this opportunity to assure all transport operators and the general public that we will continue to work in their interest. And it is signed by Mr. Godfred Abulberi, General Secretary of the GPRTU of TUC Ghana, and Emmanuel Ohene Yeboah, General Secretary of the GIHOC. Some drivers are, however, unhappy about the reduction. According to them, the reduction will have an adverse effect on their business and will therefore not comply with the directive. Joy News' reporter Carlos Caloni has been interacting with some drivers and passengers.
The crisis is there. We are still in a crisis. That's what I think.
Well, if everything was engineered by the politicians, then it is a step in the right direction. But the sustainability is what matters. If they will be able to, hold on to it and then take pragmatic measures in order to, sustain it.
While many of the commuters here are so happy that transport fares are going down, many of the transport operators themselves are not happy with the proposed reduction of 10%.
That 10%, they have to do more than that. That 10%, we don't see anything of that 10%. That 10% didn't do anything. Because now the economy is there, it's too hard.
Too small. At least 40% or 30%.
We are using engine oil, brake food, spare parts, ties, and other things. So if they say we should reduce it by 10%, they must make sure that those things which I mentioned too should go down by 10%.
We are going to lose totally. It came for first time that we should reduce fare. We reduce it to a certain level. We didn't hear anything about foodstuffs and many other things. Today, you are telling us that there is another reduction, so reduce lorry fare.
While commuters and transport operators have divided opinion on the decrease of transport fares in the country, business owners here at Abosokan say they feel no positive impact at all on the exchange rate and other indices in the business they do.
No, I've not seen any positive about it. This one we buy it at 250, but now it's 500 to 550.
So I'm not feeling any impact because the prices of my products is still going up day by day. So I don't think the dollar has come down. It's still rising.
Reporting from Abosokan here in Accra, my name is Carlos Scaloni for Joy.
Now, General Secretary for the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, Emmanuel Ohene-Yeboah, says it will be insensitive on the part of transport operators to kick against the reduction when there have been a cumulative 40% reduction in fuel prices.
Already aware. Anytime there's a transport fare increase, basically based on the fuel. So we've done this over the years, and our basis for increasing transport fares has always been the fuel price. Notwithstanding, at the beginning of every year, if we are to do any fuel fare adjustment, we do adjustment based and factor the spare parts, tires, the salaries, whatever into it once a year, and that is why the argument a bit misplaced. Tires and spare parts are not daily consumable because you buy one tire, it can last you for 2 years. You buy axle, it may last you to the very life of the vehicle. You don't buy engine every time. So those things are not considered at every increase or decrease of the transport fare. Look, what we're doing now, between December and now, fuel has been reduced cumulatively about 40%. So if you reduce fares by 10%, and you are talking about spare parts increase and all that, I think the 30% is a windfall for you, can take care of those expenses. So if anybody says spare parts are still high, yes, we agree, and that is why we didn't reduce it by 40% and 30%. That used to be the case. Anytime fuel is increased, agitation is that we increase the fares by the same margin that the fuel has been increased. So if anybody says that, I think that argument is clear.
Now let's get more reactions on this development. Joining us on phone is the General Secretary of the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, Emmanuel Ohene-Yeboah, who still insists their decision stands despite these agitations. First, what factors influence transport fares increment?
Thank you very much. My good evening to you, yourself and the listeners. As I've already indicated, transport fares determination is based on a number of factors. But before now, we have a system where we do transport fare review twice a year, at the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. So it is unfortunate because of the unstable nature of the fuel prices between sometime last year and the previous year. That's what's called for, a regular increase in transport fares. But at least what we know as a practice is that whenever we want to determine transport fares, we determine basically on parts of the price percentage of the share pass, the other consumables like salary, the vehicle itself, insurance, and other components. That comes about 70% of the total cost build up. And the 30% from that is the fuel price. So what we do is that beginning of the year we factor those 70%. We do a percentage increase of cumulative from all the other price items, so that when we get the 30% determinant of the fuel, then we add to it and we try to have a percentage of it as a component of the fare increase. So as it stands now, if we are going to even determine any reduction in transport fares, we are not considering the spare parts again. We are considering the cumulative reduction of the fuel as of now. And the last time we increased transport fares was 19%. I think that was in October. And sometime in November, December, we had to do some reduction about 15%. And since then, fuel has come down consistently. So we think it is only fair as a practice that when it's going up, we increase it. When it comes down, it's only fair that we have to go and increase it as well.
So once some of your drivers are citing the price of spare parts to be the reason why they are not supporting your reduction, what are you going to do about that?
Well, it's unfortunate they are trying to kick against it. And like I said earlier on, I think it's money issue. When you are taking money from anybody, of course, every average person will resist giving back what is in his hand. But what I want to understand is that it's only we are trying to build a kind of dignified industry that we shouldn't behave like anytime there's an increase, we want to take money. But when there is a reduction, we don't want to do same to our customers. Because it's only fair that when you demand it, when it's high, you only have to give it back when it comes down. And that has been the practice. So this is the first time we are doing reduction.
And this begins tomorrow, right?
It begins tomorrow, yes.
Okay. So for commuters who probably will have drivers who will decide not to obey your directive, what must they do?
Well, it's unfortunate anybody will resist. But what if they do? What we are saying is that for those who load from the terminal, it's easy to identify whoever flouts the directive. Because we have the station masters and the welfare officers at the station. So anybody who flouts it at the station point, they can report to the welfare officer or the station masters for it to be situated there. Those on the street, that's the Wawa people, we only entreat them that we should try to reason up with us. Because when we increase, we take advantage.
Okay.
When it's reduced, I think you must equally obey and do same. So I don't think we should have any challenge. And the general public to try and insist on doing what has been given to them. It will be very small coins. But if you don't take it, it means you are losing your right for future reduction.
All right. Grateful to you for joining us here. Let's cross over to Anas Sabet in the Bono East region for the perspective of commuters and operators in that region. Anas, what is the reaction in your region? Anas, if you can hear me, what has been the reaction of people in your region to this reduction that has been communicated? Okay, so we are in the Bono East region to try and gauge the mood and the reaction to this particular reduction in transport fares. The GRTCC and the GPRTU are announcing a 10% reduction effective Wednesday. So we're asking the reaction of the people in the Bono East. The GRTCC has said that from Wednesday, you as a commuter should demand that you pay a fare which has been reduced by 10%. So you do your own calculation and then you know how much you're supposed to pay from where you are going to your destination. So that has been the news. People have reacted positively to it, but some drivers are insisting that because of the increment in spare parts, it will be difficult for them to obey. But GRTCC is asking that all drivers obey. Anas Sabet has joined us on phone. Anas, so what has been the reaction of people in your region?
Yes, Samuel, this is sort of a good news for the people here at the Cheshman main lorry station. Just that most of them I spoke with are not even aware of this particular directive that is being issued. But a few others who are aware say they can't wait for this to take effect tomorrow. And a few of the other guys I spoke with are saying they will do all they can to ensure that the transport unions abide by this particular directive, considering the fact that most of the times when check orders are given, we have some transport operators, going the other way and not reducing their fares. So what they are saying is that this is a good news, and they wish the percentage could even be higher than the 10% that has been announced. It's been mixed reactions here, but largely people are excited and they say they can't wait for this particular directive to be, to take effect starting from tomorrow. here at the Kitman Main Lorry Station.
Okay, grateful to you. To other stories, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is set to open a formal probe into content of the Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng report on illegal mining. The former Environment, Science and Technology Minister, who also served as the chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, today provided more details on his expose when he appeared before investigators at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. There is more in this News Desk report.
On April 20, a leaked report compiled by Professor Frimpong Boateng had the former minister name some top government officials as being complicit in the illegal mining menace.
My report was not to indict anybody, but just to tell the one who asked me to write the report the problems that we face and what I think should be done. It may not be a perfect report, but I stand by everything that I wrote. You know, every Ghanaian is committed. We should show our commitment in the way we act. And eventually, the final analysis, the state of the water body, the state of the forest, and all these things will tell us whether we are committed or not. We can say anything, we can investigate anything we want, but in the final analysis, we have to look at what is happening on the ground, and then we can take our own decisions.
In the report, the renowned heart surgeon indicated that the rot goes as high as the seat of government, the Jubilee House. Professor Frimpong Boateng stressed that the allegation of some 500 mason excavators seized from illegal miners in 2020 were fabrications of some persons in government to get him sacked. Following the claim, there were calls from a section of the Ghanaian society for the state security agencies to look into the report. Subsequently, President Akufo-Addo asked the Ghana Police Service to probe the matter. Today, before the investigators of the Special Prosecutor, Professor Frimpong Boateng provided response to activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining related to the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets. But Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfrey Dame says the content of Professor Boateng's report does not tell the whole story.
Preliminarily, I will indicate that, or it suggests that it is not the full perspective of issues that were addressed by the respected professor. And it's just his view on certain matters. And it is being put through the processes. I understand that there are some petitions as such and Special Prosecutor's Office. That is the process that we will have to subscribe.
However, insists the work of the Interministerial Committee helped in addressing the damage to the environment caused by mining firm Imperial Heritage.
I think the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining has succeeded in seizing the equipment of Heritage Imperial. For me, it lies foul in the mouth of any person to criticize the actions of the IMCM at that time. And if the Attorney General has, with all respect or in all humility, proactively taken steps to have the judgment set aside and all, it should be something that we should really appreciate and not criticize and really question why that had been done by the High Court.
Now, the Functional Executive Committee of the National Democratic Congress has declared Edem Agbana as winner of last weekend's primary for the Kantu North constituency. This decision comes days after he and John Kwabla Adenu were declared to have tied after a recount of the vote on the day of election. Joining us with details of this decision is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Grateful that you could join us here. Now, what exactly went into this particular decision?
Thank you very much and good evening to your cherished listeners. Today, the Functional Executive Committee, led by or chaired by our National Chairman, Honorable Johnson Asidun Katia, and the Honorable General Secretary of our party, sat in that committee. And what we found out was clearly some issues correcting the irregularities has been alleged, and that we took the decision to declare Edem Agbana as the duly elected parliamentary candidate of Kantu North, particularly that the election was transparent. Number two, that there were no foreign materials in the ballots. Number three, that the ballots purported to be under litigation complied with the serial numbers of the ballot papers in the book which was assigned to that particular constituency. And that after counting first time and second time, which coincided, we came to the conclusion that he was duly elected and those ballots were counted, particularly in the 2013 elections, Supreme Court election declaration that the candidate could not have suffered for the errors committed by an EC official. On that basis, we upheld them as the elected candidate. Also, was to the effect that because Edem has made some pronouncements on air that affects the credibility of executive members of the party, particularly at the region and the constituency where he's contested. In the interest of unity and in the interest of, as it were, respecting the party structure, the national chairman further ordered that within 7 days, Edem Agbana and his lawyers would have to employ the same medium through which he made his earlier statements to apologize to all the individuals he had initially accused.
Okay, so if I understand you, you are faulting the Electoral Commission for the decision that was arrived at over the weekend. Is that it?
Well, at the end of the day, the EC officer was to stamp a ballot paper before issuing as part of the mechanisms that we use. And so we also realize that in the absence of a stamp, in itself is not substantial enough to invalidate that particular ballot paper. Particularly that when you take stock or the accounting of the ballot papers, they actually reconcile itself, and they were not foreign materials, or issue of overvoting. And so we came to that conclusion that that error was not enough to invalidate the ballot papers. Okay. Particularly that the serial numbers coincides with what is contained in the duplicate of the book that was assigned to that particular constituency for the purposes of this election. We came to that conclusion.
But how does it lie with the party to take such a decision when the party should have resorted to the court or the EC to have rerun? That according to your party principles, is it the party that's supposed to be handling these matters?
The National Executive Committee of the party is given enough powers to look into any issue that affects the party or any level of the party. Particularly that for the purposes of this election,
Mr. Wande, are you there? If you're there, I wanted to find out from you why the party is taking such a decision when it should be the law court making such pronouncement.
The Electoral Commission, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, clearly, yes.
I am saying that the Electoral Commission held this election for the NDC, and that for the purposes of this election, it is our own election. And so if issues came out of it, we are in the position to remedy same without leaving it for the Electoral Commission.
How involved was the other contender? Because this involved two people.
Yes, so National Chairman took his time. Don't forget that this is a sister constituency to the home constituency of the General Secretary of our party. And so they took time to explain properly and meticulously what led to this decision, and also admonish the candidates not to do anything untoward, and that they should come on board for us to work together. In the same vein, we are going to extend to all the other candidates who participated in the election to ensure that we come on board to ensure that that seat is protected for the NDC.
I just wanted to find out if he was there when this decision was taking place.
He was present with his two other lawyers. He had a legal representation. All his agents were present, with other key supporters of his camp. It was a very fruitful discussion.
Okay. All right.
I must say that we have adopted these meticulous measures as a matter of fact to unite the party and to ensure that we have a united front going into the election 2024.
Mustafa Gbande, I'm grateful for joining us. He is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Still to come here on Journey's Prime. How simple will it be for a teacher to instruct students in writing without a black or writing board? Well, in today's episode of Ghana Schools of Shame, we introduce you to the concept of writing in the air.
Strong winds and heavy rains pulled down a madhouse structure that served as a classroom in Kantu, a community in Wild West district of the Upper West region. The chalkboards were also destroyed. About 3 classes were forced to relocate under a tree. So the teacher in Primary 2, Matilda Dosela, tried to get another chalkboard, but that one was also carried away by another strong wind. Frustrated, she organized a PTA meeting, but the parents are yet to raise enough funds to buy plywood for the chalkboards.
There was a time we called for PTA, so they raised some small amount. But looking at it, it will not reach all the classrooms, and it's not each person that removed the money; it's the whole community. So we are still appealing to add more, so that we can get some plywood, and so that we'll be managing for the meantime.
Matilda has started something called air writing. This simply means gesturing in the air for pupils to write.
To write the letter A, slant the number 1 to the left and extend another number to the right. Now, join the 2 lines horizontally.
So this is our A. A B, enter. Enter.
Writing in the air for pupils to write is not only stressful but also ineffective.
With this our condition is very difficult, because assuming I was having all the facilities, I wouldn't have been struggling as I'm struggling. I would have just showed there would have been some objects. I will even show that this is that. And
Don't they have my first copy book or the phonetic writing?
Nothing. They don't have.
They don't have what?
They don't have my first copy. There was a time we requested for, like, the parents to come and they said they don't have money.
Kweku was unable to write the letter F, but Matilda did not give up on him.
Kweku, karamanu entofon ekowa. E wonto. Ale e ngwara ka ba abinyanle aka alumbo. F sangara. Fa ma fa to aka sanso. Nto na fa to asanso. From our F.
Numeracy lessons are quite easy. The children learn addition by counting stones.
Can you read? Good.
Children without books also write in the sand.
Number 2. Number 3. Number 4.
It is the reason why the numbers here are also not encouraging. The pupils rather prefer farming to school because of the school environment. One of the children, Asonta, confesses that coming to school is no longer fun because they do not have a school building and enough teachers.
During the rainy season, we miss many classes. We cannot study. The teachers don't come to school when it rains, so we are not happy.
The headmistress of Kantu DA Primary School says they have been trying to get their pupils motivated, but they are currently at their wits' end.
The environment is not welcome. No blackboards. We are sitting on the trees and there are no blackboard for the teachers to use and teach.
The only classroom block in good condition also had its roof ripped off. Members of the community say they had renovated the roof twice already and now want government to renovate it this time around.
We roofed the building ourselves. We bought the wood and the roofing sheets. We cannot afford the expensive roofing sheets, so we bought cheaper ones. Unfortunately, it is always ripped off by the strong wind. We beg the government to come and fix this problem.
In 2015, the government decided to build a new classroom block for Kantu, but it was abandoned after the 2016 elections. Although the building has been roofed, the blockwork high up the building has almost detached from the rest of the structure, and it is also badly slanted. It can collapse anytime soon. This is an emergency and should not be ignored. A non-governmental organization in the northern region focused on education, School for Life, organized residents of Kantu to form a club to address the needs of the school. Under its citizen-led actions for educational accountability responsiveness projects in Ghana, members of the club have written letters to the Wild West District Assembly, but so far nothing has been done.
We vote all the time, but there is no development. It seems we only exist to vote. We have problems in this school and our community, but they have not been solved. Next time, we will not vote. We want our children to go to school because we believe our educated children will solve the challenges in this community.
The members of the club promised to buy blackboards for the school, but want government to finish up the building so the children can move in.
So a blackboard message don't make on teaching support. We had planned to move our children into the uncompleted building so they can study there. The plan was to buy chalkboards into the classroom, but the contractor says we cannot move in. We have to contribute to buy chalkboards for our children. We cannot wait for the government, but they must come and finish up this building. So as a child, you
With the government doing very little, the people in Siru, also in the Wild West District, have decided to do more.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Firstly, the school started with a pupil teacher called Monica. She started a KG class after completing the Wild Polytechnic. She did not receive a salary, but taught for 3 years before GES recognized the school in 2008. When the school got a new headmistress, Monica quit teaching to start a farming business. The headmistress, Dondoma Mary, organized a community to aid the school. The community members constructed sheds to house the children. Some students from the University of Development Studies also came to the community to do voluntary work. They organized the community and cut down some trees and designed benches and tables for the pupils.
They were out to help deprived areas with schools with difficulties. So when they approached us, our major challenge was furniture. First, I had to carry packing case from Wa to this place with the help of a motokin, with the help of my PTA chairman in the community. And that was what the students were using. Packing case, like car packing cases and those ones. So when they came and saw the children in that mood, they were touched. Then they met the community, and together with the community, they fell down some dawa tree. Then with that one, they used and they created these benches for us.
CODA Primary School does not benefit from the school feeding program, so the community donated groceries from their farms to feed their children. The ladies in the town take turns cooking for the children daily.
When I came and I sat our first meeting, they made me know that because the children were young and they could easily get hungry, they decided as a community to contribute foodstuffs. That is, after harvest, they could contribute maize. At least each household could contribute 10 bowls of maize.
So how do they pay the people who cook?
They don't pay them. It's a voluntary work.
But anytime it rains, schooling here virtually comes to an abrupt end. Community members say they have done their best but want governments to build a permanent school structure for them.
Government teacher hen ban kuti ba nan ba yar ja kuti kanan tun wa eblate tenan so e gbama aku admu TDC ambia obun office so chere dem ba wa yar ja ayi ben loboring.
Unfortunately, the Wild West District Assembly is castrated.
They themselves have seen that the challenges within the center are numerous, and so what they can't sit aloof and not doing something. So I try that much of it where we hear that a community is doing that, we want to support, to serve as an example to the other communities to emulate, because if we are waiting for resources from the assembly and they are not coming, but in the meantime, what do we do to secure that our children should have something that they can rely on? The assembly normally budget, like in terms of IGF, to generate about 158,000. We never got all the 158,000 within a year. It's challenging.
This means for any drastic positive change to happen in a district, the central government would have to invest heavily in education infrastructure. There's a clear link between infrastructure and quality education. The Ghana Education Service knows it all too well.
Feel very, very bad. Even at times, very difficult for you to visit some of the schools. Well, we have seen the situation. If there had been maybe an individual issue, that one we can do. But the case is not like that. The BE's performance is lower. Very, very low.
What's the performance
in terms of performance?
Until government invest heavily in education, the outcome will always be poor in the Wild West District. Jojo Kopna, Joy News.
So those are the conditions under which some children are learning in this country. Well, we hope the better future for them, and government must react positively too. To some other stories, some agitated staff of GIHOC distilleries are demanding the immediate removal of their managing director, Maxwell Kofi Juma. According to them, his incompetence in managing the company has led to a dip in the revenues of the company. They are also accusing him of delaying payment of their salaries, SNIT benefits, and other entitlement, which they say is affecting their livelihood. They therefore believe his removal from office and allowing a new management to take over will improve the performance of the company. There's more in this report.
The workers, who appeared visibly unhappy about their conditions of service, gathered outside the premises of the company to register their displeasure. Their demand is for the payment of their salaries, SNIT benefits, provident fund, and other entitlements. Despite these demands, they also want the managing director of the company, Maxwell Kofi Juma, removed because of incompetence.
The challenges that we have, our SNIT has not been paid, our provident fund has not been paid for almost 18 months now. So this is what we are fighting for. We are not fighting the management and we are not fighting the managing director. So this morning that we have police people on our premises here and then doing that, doing this, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, say yeah demonstration. Yeah, you may be named to toy ye. Na, ya papa obayare. No, cock a crana MC. Ebe so a human within 2 weeks, and you may be out to turn aquam. Ama a coye kakra fine. Say no, yes, I pay MC. It's on your cotton, I say. You bet you aneka. Na ye my MC no. And Craig Human no more yana because tourists in your salary come 2 months in a yentia kaye.
MD buy no. Oh boy, Mr. Baby no why? Debentina why? Why say? Because me my wallet no I ma. I come ucha 2 months pay. I didn't throw chai because me wayire ese man akoma me bon akoma me twa me ba e go school wo ne nkro for enjoy.
Meanwhile, management of the company has described the actions by the aggrieved workers as a sabotage. Nana Kwesi Odubofo, a sales manager of GIHOC distilleries.
The very people doing the agitation, they are from the technical and part of them are production staff. And do you know why I mentioned the technical? Not too long ago, the board dissolved an IMC, that is Interim Management Committee. When the Honorable Kofi Juma was on sick leave, the board members instituted a committee to steer the affairs in his absence. And the technical manager, right, was one of the IMC committee. Why did the people not stage demonstration when the IMC was in the seat? Are you getting it? Why do they decide to stage upon the assumption of Honorable Masoko Juma today? So what happened 3 weeks ago? That was different from today.
So how long has the MD been away?
He's been away for 2 months. Only 2 months. You know, his sickness was on and off. So with this, the past 2 months, that he saw that the thing he need sick leave so that he can see to himself. Are you getting it? So he's been away for just 6 weeks or almost 2 months.
Okay. And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. But just before we take a leave of you, remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening. And tomorrow morning, when you wake up from bed with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters, like my beautiful Becky's own, right?
Look at me! Pepsodent!
Okay,
We
so
love
that's
Pepsodent.
it. Thanks so much for your company.